declined. Beep, declined. That's the sound of the modern American dream. You hear it at the grocery store. You hear it at the high-end steakhouse. But let's step outside for a second. Listen to that. That low, aggressive growl of a V8 engine echoing off the glass buildings downtown. That's a guy named Kevin. He's driving a $90,000 imported SUV. He's wearing a watch that costs more than a college semester. If you look at him through the windshield, he looks like he conquered the world. But if you look at his bank app, he's drowning. Kevin is what the system calls a VIP. I call him premium broke. Let's talk about Kevin's car. The second those expensive tires touched the asphalt outside the dealership, the vehicle lost 15 grand in value. He doesn't own that machine. The bank owns it. Kevin just pays $1,000 a month for the privilege of driving the bank's property to a job he secretly hates. He thinks the stitched leather seats give him status. The leather just hides the cold sweat of his daily financial anxiety. Every single month the payment hits, every single month, his breathing gets a little shallower. He's one broken air conditioner or one minor medical emergency away from total collapse. But hey, at least his coworkers think he's killing it. Now look at the guy walking on the sidewalk next to Kevin's car. Plain gray hoodie, faded jeans, holding a $3 black coffee. Kevin probably glanced at him at the stoplight and felt a rush of superiority. What Kevin doesn't know is that the guy in the hoodie owns the commercial plaza Kevin just parked in. We've been indoctrinated to believe that wealth is a loud performance. We think millions of dollars look like giant logos, VIP sections, and leased German cars. But the truth? The truth is that visible luxury is just a colorful receipt for chronic debt. Society built a stage for you to dance on. They handed you the plastic credit cards to buy the costumes, and you took the bait. You financed a lifestyle you can't afford to impress strangers on the internet who don't care about you, using money you haven't even earned yet. It's a brilliant trap. You buy a gold-plated cage, and then you invite people over to brag about how shiny the bars are. You think you're winning because you have a higher credit limit. Let me tell you something about the FICO score. It isn't a measure of your financial success. It's an obedience collar. The system is simply rewarding you for playing nicely with their interest rates. The banks look at you, and they don't see a millionaire in the making. They see a host. They see a biological battery powering their quarterly dividends. Here is a reality check for you. Wealth isn't the ability to buy attention. True wealth is the absolute power to decline it. If your self-worth requires an audience, you aren't rich. You're just a highly paid entertainer for the financial industry. You're exhausting yourself. You work 50 hours a week, grinding your teeth at night, losing sleep, just to maintain a fragile mask of success. And the worst part? The system knows you're tired. It engineered the game to keep you completely drained, because exhausted people make impulsive financial decisions. You buy the expensive clothes because the fatigue makes you desperate for a temporary dopamine hit. You think the problem is that you just need to make a little more money. You think a 10% raise will fix this, but the cage isn't made of your salary. It's made of your psychology. And once you see the exact tax they charge you for trying to be seen, you can never unsee it. You bought the car. You financed the watch. You posted the picture. For about 12 minutes, you felt invincible. Then the dopamine crashed, and the reality of the monthly payment set in. Because now you have to maintain the illusion. The modern antagonist ruining your life isn't a guy in a suit twisting his mustache. It's the algorithm. It's the luxury marketing engine living inside that black rectangle in your pocket. It monitors your micro-hesitations. It knows when you're feeling exhausted and inadequate on a Tuesday night. It feeds you a highly curated stream of people who appear to be doing vastly better than you. And it whispers a very specific lie. If you just buy this one thing, you'll finally belong. Buying luxury goods before you own income-producing assets isn't a flex. It's a public declaration of your own psychological insecurity. You are literally paying retail price for anxiety. The system doesn't want you wealthy. It desperately wants you to look wealthy, because looking wealthy is incredibly profitable for them. And the exact moment you decide to participate in that theater, you trigger the most insidious penalty in the modern economy. Rule 1, the tax of being seen. Let's look at a new player. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus makes $120,000 a year. By all statistical measures, Marcus should be bulletproof. But Marcus lives in a neighborhood he can barely afford because he wants his kids to go to the right schools, and he wants his neighbors to see him mowing a perfectly manicured lawn. He furnishes that 5-bedroom house on credit. He takes his family on vacations he pays for with points, convincing himself he's outsmarting the banks. Marcus suffers from a terminal disease. He has a massive line of credit, a shiny platinum card, and a home equity loan. He fundamentally mistakes access to debt for actual cash flow. Let's apply the reality filter. The financial industry placed a piece of plastic cheese in front of him. Marcus took the bait to buy a designer sofa. Snap. The mousetrap closes. But the cage isn't made of iron bars. It's made of a 29% annual percentage rate. He is a high-income lab rat, running endlessly on a titanium wheel, sweating out his finite youth to pay minimum balances. A high salary without brutal financial discipline doesn't make you rich. It just makes you a premium slave. You get a slightly nicer cell, but you still can't walk out the front door. Marcus thinks he's safe because his banking app shows a big deposit on the first of the month. But he's bleeding out from 1,000 invisible cuts: the subscriptions, the delivery fees, the maintenance on the luxury items. He is rich on paper, but completely paralyzed in the real world. The illness has a name. Rule 2, fake liquidity syndrome. This syndrome forces you into a permanent state of defensive living. You can't take a calculated risk. You can't quit the toxic corporate job. You can't tell your boss to go to hell because your boss implicitly pays your mortgage, your car note, and your credit card bill. You traded your absolute autonomy for a zip code and a hood ornament. The tightness you feel in your chest every Sunday night isn't just stress. It's your subconscious realizing that your entire lifestyle is dependent on keeping people you hate happy. You justify it by saying you're building a life. But you aren't building anything permanent. You are just renting a feeling. And the landlords of that feeling are Wall Street executives who sleep very well at night. They sleep well because they know you won't stop running. You can't. If you stop, the illusion shatters and the repo man shows up. But what happens when we strip away the emotion and look at the actual mathematics of what this daily performance is costing you? The numbers aren't just bad, they are fatal. Let's talk about the math they hide in the fine print. You feel the stress, but you don't actually understand the bleeding. You look at a luxury purchase as a one-time transaction. The bank looks at it as a multi-decade wealth transfer. Let's go back to Marcus and his imported SUV. He's paying $1,000 a month for the car. Add $300 for premium insurance and another $200 for premium gas and maintenance. He is burning $1,500 every 30 days to impress guys at the golf course who secretly hope he fails. $1,500 a month. Now let's remove the emotion and apply the reality filter, let's look at what that money is actually worth when it vanishes into the machine. Rule 3. The ghost math. The ghost math is the calculation of what your money would have done if you hadn't executed it on the altar of vanity. If Marcus drove a reliable used sedan and quietly dropped that $1,500 a month into a standard S&P 500 index fund, the math gets terrifying. Assuming an average historical return, after 25 years, that car payment wouldn't just be a nice safety net. It would be nearly $2 million. Burn this into your brain. Marcus isn't paying $90,000 for his SUV. He is paying $2 million in future, untouchable equity, just to borrow a piece of German engineering for 5 years. He traded his actual financial autonomy for a depreciating metal box that will be sitting in a scrapyard while he is still answering emails from a boss he despises at age 65. And that is the core mechanism of the labyrinth. The system convinces you to trade the invisible power of compound interest for the highly visible weakness of depreciating assets. You willingly walk into the trap, hand over your time, and lock the door behind you. Here is a hard truth you need to swallow. Society sells you the idea that success is a stadium filled with cheering fans. But real success is an empty room where nobody can tell you what to do. If your net worth is tied up in things that require wax, polish, or dry cleaning, you are entirely vulnerable. Real power doesn't require polish. It requires a spreadsheet. This brings us to the promise of this video. The reason you think you've never met a real millionaire is fundamentally simple. You have been trained to look for the wrong predators. You are looking for the loudest animals in the jungle, completely ignoring the ones that actually own the ecosystem. The true capitalist realized a long time ago that status is a massive liability. It makes you a target for lawsuits, for aggressive taxes, for jealous relatives, and for every marketer on the planet. So they engineered a completely different strategy to survive. Rule 4. Compounding in the dark. You have absolutely met a millionaire. You just didn't notice them. They were the guy in the faded denim jacket buying hardware supplies on a Tuesday morning. They were the woman driving a 10-year-old Japanese sedan who just bought the commercial real estate building your favorite coffee shop rents out. They don't wear luxury brands because they understand that paying to be a walking billboard is an insult to their intelligence. They don't buy mansions in gated communities because they prefer to have a liquid portfolio that allows them to disappear to a different hemisphere if the economy collapses. They operate in stealth mode. They treat their wealth like nuclear codes, kept in absolute silence, compounding in the dark, far away from the desperate applause of the middle class. You are playing a game of social signaling. They are playing a game of total, unapologetic leverage. And as long as you care about what the guy at the red light thinks of your car, you will continue to fund their dividends. The math is a guillotine. It doesn't care about your feelings, your curated aesthetic, or your desperate need to feel important. If you keep buying things to prove you exist, the math will ensure you die working. But there is a way to manipulate the numbers back in your favor if you are willing to let your ego die completely. The moment you decide to step out of the illusion, the world gets very quiet. You realize that everything you thought was important, the designer brand names, the exclusive zip code, the aggressive engine revving at a stoplight, is just a sophisticated tax levied on the insecure. To escape the system, you don't need to out-earn the trap. You have to outthink it. You have to let the ego die. You must learn to find immense, cynical pleasure in being completely underestimated by people you don't even respect. The financial matrix hates it when you stop moving. It desperately needs you to upgrade, to swap, to trade in. It needs you anxious. Rule 5. Weaponized boredom. True capital accumulation is violently boring. It is not an adrenaline rush. It is quietly routing a percentage of your income into an index fund on the first of the month and then going out to mow your own lawn. The financial entertainment complex wants you panicked. They want you checking your portfolio 14 times a day, chasing volatile assets and obscure crypto trends, because your panic generates their transaction fees. They built a flashy casino, painted it to look like an investment bank, and convinced the consumers that pulling the lever is a sign of sophistication. You escape by weaponizing your boredom. You sit still. You let the compound interest do the heavy lifting in absolute silence. You deny them the transaction. This requires a brutal psychological rewiring. You have to become intensely comfortable with looking like a peasant to people who are drowning in premium debt. When you choose the reliable, 10-year-old vehicle over the least luxury sedan, you will feel the judgment. The system is engineered to make you feel isolated when you don't consume. It is the ultimate test of your mental endurance. Rule 6. Decline the applause. Be the absolute ghost in your social circle. When your coworkers are standing around the break room, aggressively complaining about the rising cost of private school tuition and the insane interest rates on their credit cards, you just nod. You take a sip of your tap water. You agree with them. And you keep your mouth firmly shut about the fact that your liquid emergency fund could buy their entire lives twice over. Stealth wealth is the ultimate flex. The highest level of human power is having absolutely nothing to prove to anyone. You watch them fight for the plastic cheese, completely unaware that the trap is already crushing their spines. You decline the applause because you know the audience is bankrupt. You are no longer exchanging your finite, unrecoverable hours on Earth to subsidize a billionaire's yacht. You are keeping the capital for yourself. You are building a fortress that nobody else can see. And that leads to the final protocol. The only purchase that actually matters in a hyper-consumerist society. Rule 7. Buy your own exit. Stop buying objects. Start buying your own time back from the market. That is the only asset the bank cannot repossess if you miss a payment. The entire architecture of the modern rat race relies on your desperate, bleeding need for external validation. The second you eliminate that need, their economic model collapses. You stop being a biological battery for their quarterly profits. You become an anomaly, a glitch in their spreadsheet. You disappear into the real world, fully funded, completely untouchable, and beautifully irrelevant. If you want to stay in the theater, keep swiping. Go finance another watch to impress a barista who doesn't even know your name. But if you are ready to walk out of the performance entirely, hit the like button, subscribe, and join the ones who are building their empires in the dark. If you actually survived this far, drop a comment saying invisible equity. The premium broke crowd won't understand it, but we'll know you're awake. My name is Daniel Rath, and I'll see you outside the maze.